You've done everything right. The undergraduate GPA, the MCAT, the med school applications, coursework, rotations, step exams, the match, training, the boards, the job acceptance, the credentialing. You're competent and respected. You're known as someone who gets things done. And yet, something still feels off. Maybe you find yourself asking, why am I not further along by now? I know I'm capable of more. Why doesn't anyone see it? Or if I don't make a change soon, will I regret staying where I am? If those questions have lived in your head quietly, maybe even guiltily, then this video is for you. Because today I want to talk about why so many high achieving women physicians feel stuck. And what is it really about? No, this isn't a video about burnout or work life integration. Those things are important, but it's about something much, much deeper. And once you have language for it, you can't unsee it. Here's what I've observed across decades of working with women physicians. We are exceptionally good at achieving. We're trained for it from the moment we start as pre-meds. We get the grades, the scores, the interviews, the matches, the jobs, the promotions, the titles. And for a long time, that achievement framework serves us beautifully. It measures our progress and it gives us direction that we are on the right track. But at a certain point, usually mid career, something changes. And after all that achievement, the next milestone may no longer be obvious. And the questions that emerge are no longer about performance. They become deeply personal, like, now what do I want for my career? What kind of work feels meaningful versus impressive? Is the impact I'm making aligned with my values? Is what I'm doing aligned with who I've become? And here's the problem. Medicine never taught us how to ask or answer these questions. We were trained to diagnose, to treat, to push through, but we were never taught to turn that same careful attention inward and examine our own professional lives with honesty and curiosity. What is our assessment of our careers? And what will be our plan? Sometimes this can lead to a feeling of being stuck when externally everything appears to be working. The credentials are there, the titles may even be there. Your colleagues respect you and consider you successful. On the inside, however, you're having an entirely different experience. Maybe it shows up as restlessness with the daily grind of going to work and coming home where another slate of tasks await you. Maybe it shows up as depletion, the tired that follows you home, the tired that sits with you on Sundays, and the tired that sleep and vacation won't fix. Maybe it shows up as financial anxiety when, despite making a good income, you have a nagging sense that you need to earn more, but aren't sure how to do that without giving even more of yourself. Perhaps it shows up as feeling invisible despite everything you've accomplished and everything you've given. Or maybe it's the quiet voice that asks, is this really all there is? If you've heard that voice, that's data. It's your deepest, truest self asking you to consider what version of your career can get you to the fullest expression of who you are. One of the most costly mistakes in the physician well being space is the conflation of two very different experiences, burnout and misalignment. Sure, they can overlap and they can even coexist, but they are not the same thing. And treating them the same is why so many women physicians do what they're told for well being, like reducing the workload, practicing self care, taking the vacation, and still come back feeling exactly as they did before. Because burnout is driven by external factors like too much work, too little support, too little autonomy, the systemic pressures of a healthcare system that asks more every year while giving less in return. Misalignment is driven by an internal mismatch between who you have become and what your role asks of you. And rest cannot address misalignment because when you come back from that rest, that gap is still there waiting to be addressed. You're still watching others advance while you stay exactly where you are. You're still carrying the weight of most things at home, wondering whether anything is going to change. And you're still wondering whether the next chapter of your career and life is going to look exactly like the one you're in right now. And for many women physicians, what they need most in these situations is not just more rest, it's more clarity. So let's talk a bit more about career alignment. What is it and why does it matter so much? Career alignment is the degree to which your current role, your environment, and your trajectory reflect your values, like what matters to you in this stage of your life, to the woman you've become, your strengths, the full scope of who you are, and not just your clinical abilities, your vision, where you eventually want to go, more time, more financial freedom for your family, a career that feels like an expression of your purpose, work that energizes rather than depletes, and your identity. Because at some point in your career, the question will become, who am I beyond what I do? And am I honoring that? When alignment is present, the work feels sustainable, sometimes even energizing. There's an underlying sense of being in the right place and doing the right work for the right reasons. But when alignment is missing, even your greatest accomplishments can feel hollow. And if unaddressed, that gap only widens until one day you look up and realize the career you've been building belongs to a version of you that you've long since outgrown. You weren't designed to figure this out alone. And yet, that's exactly what most women physicians are doing, quietly carrying these questions at home after a long day of carrying everything else. Feeling guilty for wanting more when from the outside everything looks like enough. Wondering in private whether anyone else feels this way. Yes, they do. But the women physicians I've watched transform their careers, finding alignment, reclaiming joy, stepping into visibility and recognition they deserved, they didn't do it alone. They did it in community with other women who understood what they were carrying. Women who had asked these same questions, who could reflect back to them what they could not yet see in themselves. And that is what we'll do here together. So, where do you start? You start by asking yourself different questions. Not how do I survive this season of my career, but by vision casting. What do I want for my career? Not why won't anyone recognize my value, but how can I claim the visibility and influence I've earned? Not is this all there is, but if there were more, how would more look and feel? And while these questions may be uncomfortable, they are the right questions for moving forward. And sitting with them requires a kind of courage that medicine does not teach. In my next video, I'll share some of my own journey around clarity in my career, what that taught me, and what that ultimately made possible. Until then, if something in today's video resonated, I'd love to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what that quiet voice has been saying to you. And if you're ready to get that clarity, book a free discovery call with me. The link is in the description below. It's a 30-minute conversation, no pressure, no obligation, just an honest conversation about where you are and where you want to go. And remember, you already have the answers. My job is to help you hear them. Subscribe so you never miss a new video. And if this resonated, please share it with another woman physician who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening to The Level Up. I'm Dr. Kim Nichols, and I'll see you next time.